pretty animated after the game on RDS. What do you want to say today, a few days later, and just what's going on up front that this is so unusual for this team?
Well, you know, football's an emotional sport, right? So after a game like that, you haven't seen the video, you haven't seen everything that's gone on. So obviously, I came out and I said it was disgusting on the offensive part. But honestly, when you watch the video, I mean, you can look at all the stats you want and all these things, but we're not far off. There's a few things that have to be fixed. There's a few things that we need to change, but we're really not far off. And those stats don't always paint the whole picture either. So we're looking forward to just getting better every week right now, and we've watched the video, we're moving on, and it's time to get better.
So if you're not far off, what needs to change then?
Hey, football is a game of inches, even centimeters sometimes, right? So it's just a little bit here and there from all aspects of our game, from our O-line play, from our running backs, from everyone in protection, receivers getting open. It's everyone together all at once.
Of course.
And once all that comes together, you know, it's going to go much better.
But you spent so much time, this is my last question, I think, you spent so much time last week on pass protection and meetings, and then you go out and it's a season high sacks. And I know it's not all on you guys, but it just, you know, like the correlation between the two doesn't add up.
Yeah, absolutely. The numbers aren't nice. It's not something we want to see. We don't want to see our quarterbacks getting hit. We don't like our quarterbacks getting pressured. We don't like the stats of the sacks, the famous sacks, because that's the only thing you can really look at for an O-lineman. Catching a ball is catching a ball and getting yards. It's one thing, whereas sacks is something that involves the whole offense, right? So it's hard to get a full picture sometimes if you don't know everything about football. But when you watch the video, we're not far off. There's a bit of communication that has to happen. There's a little bit of seeing things a little quicker, a little bit of things like that. So for us, it's really just to get better every week. And honestly, we're just looking forward to get better and put that behind us and just be better this week.
Thank you, sir.
Je veux te faire reprendre en français, mais tu avais beaucoup de frustration après le match de dimanche. Puis, je pense que c'est un terme qui revient à chaque semaine, la protection du carrière. On est rendu à 22 sacs. C'est une statistique qui tourne dans les têtes. Comment t'expliques ce qui se passe depuis le début de la saison? Puis comment améliorer ça?
Regarde, après la game, c'est sûr que j'étais frustré. Il n'y a pas d'autre mot à le dire. Fait que c'était vraiment une frustration. Fait que j'ai peut-être parlé un petit peu trop vite. On a regardé les bandes de vidéo après. Puis honnêtement, on n'est pas loin. Il y a des affaires à corriger. Mais en même temps, protection du carrière, c'est pas juste la ligne offensive, c'est tout le monde ensemble. C'est les 5 gars en avant, c'est le porteur du ballon, c'est le carrière, c'est les receveurs qui sont capables de se démarquer aussi. Fait que pour nous autres, c'est vraiment juste d'avoir une chimie, tout le monde ensemble. Puis en ce moment, il y a juste une petite affaire qui manque, mais on n'est pas loin. Si on regarde les sacs qu'on a donnés, oui, il y a eu 7 sacs, mais il y en a là-dessus que c'est des, comme on appelle des RPO. Fait que c'est nous autres, on va vendre la course, des affaires comme ça. Fait que c'est plusieurs choses qui va donner des sacs. Puis c'est vraiment pas un beau statistique, mais nous autres, on a une fierté aussi quand ça vient à ces chiffres-là. Puis on n'est pas content en ce moment. On veut s'améliorer à tous les semaines. Puis on voit qu'on n'est pas loin de ça.
D'affronter Vancouver dimanche, puis là, Toronto dans 2 jours. Comment tu vois ce défi-là?
Regarde.
Très peu de temps de préparation, puis c'est une excellente équipe de l'autre côté, surtout avec leur début de saison.
Oui, c'est vrai, c'est une très bonne équipe, mais nous autres, on est des professionnels. Fait que c'est ça que la cédule, ça fait longtemps que c'est sorti. On savait que ça s'en venait. Les entraîneurs nous ont super bien... Ils ont pris soin de nous autres cette semaine. Ils nous ont donné du temps off pour guérir nos petits bobos, de reprendre nos jambes. Aujourd'hui, comme qu'on a fait, c'était quelque chose qui n'était pas trop physique. Fait que nous autres, c'est vraiment côté mental, de vraiment rester focus sur le plan de match et puis d'exécuter le plan de match vendredi soir. Et puis, on a hâte à changer ce qui s'est passé la semaine passée puis y aller à d'autres choses.
Merci beaucoup.
Ça fait plaisir.
P.O., je pense que des fois, quand tu regardes même pas un match de football, tu regardes juste les statistiques, tu vois les gros chiffres. Est-ce qu'il y a plusieurs personnes, plusieurs admirateurs extérieurs qui regardent ça et se disent wow, est-ce que c'est juste la faute de la ligne à l'attaque? Est-ce que la ligne à l'attaque n'est pas capable de protéger son carrière? Est-ce que tu penses que c'est ça le problème en ce moment avec vous? Il y a vraiment c'est un travail d'équipe?
Ben, c'est ça, quand des gens qui ne connaissent pas le football à 100% ou qui vont juste regarder certains aspects du football, ils vont voir les sacs et ils vont se dire que c'est juste une statistique qui appartient à la ligne offensive, mais c'est sûr qu'il y a plein de facteurs. Ça peut être les receveurs qui sont pas ouverts, le carrière qui tient le ballon. Ça peut être plein de trucs. C'est sûr que la O-line aussi a une responsabilité, mais c'est un travail d'équipe. Donc en offensive, on essaie de trouver des réponses et d'être meilleur pour ça.
Comment tu évaluerais votre travail dans les 4 premières semaines? Bon, c'est 2-2. C'est sûr que vous êtes une équipe qui apprend encore à se connaître. Tu es revenu d'une blessure aussi, tu es revenu rapidement. Comment tu évalues votre travail globalement jusqu'à présent?
Globalement, je pense qu'on devient meilleur de match en match. C'est sûr qu'on veut en faire plus. On veut que les statistiques commencent à apparaître. On veut qu'il y ait moins de sacs. On veut qu'il y ait plus de verges par la course. Mais je pense que si on regarde les bonnes vidéos d'un match après l'autre, je pense qu'il y a de l'amélioration à chaque match. Fait qu'on va continuer de bâtir vers ça puis de continuer à devenir meilleur à chaque semaine.
Personnellement, selon toi, c'est quoi la plus grosse menace des Argos vendredi?
La plus grosse menace des Argos, c'est sûr qu'ils ont une bonne ligne défensive. Ils ont juste une bonne défensive en général. C'est sûr que c'est les champions en titre, fait qu'il faut pas les prendre à la légère. Fait que c'est sûr qu'on va arriver vendredi prêt pour jouer ce match-là.
On aime toujours voir un Byron souriant. C'est toujours plus plaisant. Tu es un gars qui n'a pas peur des mots, qui n'a pas peur de tes émotions. Puis tu es un gars qui ça parle beaucoup aussi dans ton visage quand tu n'es pas satisfait de quelque chose. Je pense que dimanche, ça paraissait dès le début du match. Des erreurs, des bévues, des erreurs mentales aussi, des unités spéciales. Comment tu décrirais le travail de ton unité dimanche?
100%. C'était décevant, c'est pas à la hauteur de nos attentes. Puis les joueurs, ce qui est important là-dedans, c'est que les joueurs n'ont pas besoin de m'entendre le dire. Les joueurs le savaient eux-mêmes. Les joueurs sur le sideline, ils savaient eux-mêmes qu'ils ne livraient pas la performance à la hauteur de nos attentes. Nos attentes qui, dans le fond, sont basées sur des performances passées, sont basées sur ce qu'on sait qu'on est capable de faire. Puis on n'a pas été en mesure de faire ça. On est une équipe, on est une unité qui fait partie de cette équipe-là, qui aide cette équipe-là à gagner des matchs. Ça prend mieux de notre part. On peut pas coûter des jeux, on ne peut pas coûter des verges. On se doit de corriger ça là, le plus rapidement possible. Puis, comme je vous dis, ce qui est important à retenir là-dedans, c'est que les joueurs l'ont remarqué. Les joueurs, c'était les premiers à venir me voir après ça, puis m'en parler autant sur le sideline qu'après le match, que pendant le visionnement du vidéo plus tôt aujourd'hui. Les gars sont au courant, les gars le savent, puis on a regardé, on a fait les ajustements côté technique qu'on doit faire, puis je suis confiant qu'on va être capable de rebondir cette performance-là.
Est-ce que tu dis que c'est juste une mauvaise journée au travail? Parce que lors des 3 premiers matchs, les unités spéciales ont été constantes. Que ce soit la couverture de bottée, les retours de bottée, les bottées de précision de David. Est-ce que c'est juste une mauvaise journée au travail, puis tu es confiant que vendredi, on va revoir l'unité qu'on a vue lors des 3 premières rencontres?
Oui, 100%. Je pense que c'est une bonne façon de le placer. Puis, comme tu dis, ça revient à nos attentes, ça revient à nos standards à nous. Puis on s'est éloigné de ça. Là. On n'était pas capable de reconnaître sur le film, sur le terrain, que ça, c'est les unités spéciales des Alouettes. C'était pas à la hauteur de ce qu'on est en mesure de faire. Puis de corriger ça, de certains ajustements. C'est sûr qu'il faut qu'on soit en ligne aussi avec ce qui se fait appeler sur le terrain. Donc, une game contre Winnipeg, on a une punition. Là, cette game-ci, là, t'en as 7 d'appelés. OK, il y a peut-être des ajustements à faire là, de notre bord. Il y a peut-être des correctifs pour être sûr qu'on s'enligne là, avec ce qui se fait appeler là, sur le terrain. Donc, c'est sûr que de notre bord, on a certains correctifs à faire. Je pense que, comme tu le dis, c'était une mauvaise journée au bureau. Puis, beaucoup de choses qui n'arrivent pas là d'habitude, sont toutes arrivées pendant la même game. Le côté positif là-dedans, parce qu'on essaie tout le temps d'aller chercher le positif, le côté positif là-dedans, c'est qu'ils sont tous arrivés dans une game. Fait que là, on est capable de corriger, basé sur toutes ces erreurs-là. Cette game-ci, la game 4 pendant la saison, il nous reste un autre panoplie là, de matchs là, à jouer. On a 18 games regular season, 18 matchs. Fait que si on était capable de faire toutes ces erreurs-là one-shot, ça, c'est, comme tu dis, une mauvaise journée au bureau. Il faut s'assurer que ça n'arrive plus, puis de corriger la base là-dessus.
Il y a des choses, des fois, on dirait que ça passe un soir, ça passe pas l'autre soir. Différentes officiels langues, des fois, différentes soirées. On en parlait un petit peu avant l'entraînement avec Pierre. Est-ce que tu as parlé après la rencontre avec quelqu'un, soit du membre des officiels ou de la Ligue, à savoir qu'est-ce qu'il y a d'habitude, pourquoi ça passe, pourquoi aujourd'hui ça passe pas? Qu'est-ce qu'on fait? Qu'est-ce que vous voyez de pas correct dans ce qu'on a fait?
Ouais, ça, c'est une partie qui est un peu difficile à répondre parce que je suis biaisé. Puis il faut savoir qu'on est biaisé. Il faut être capable de se regarder dans le miroir. Il y a des choses qu'on méritait de se faire appeler. Il y a d'autres choses qu'on n'était peut-être pas habitué de voir appeler, mais on se doit quand même de s'ajuster parce que si c'est pour être appelé de manière continue, il faut qu'on s'ajuste. Puis, tu sais, c'est quelque chose qu'ils ont vu, qu'on a peut-être traversé cette zone grise-là. Il y a beaucoup de jeux au football, sur les unités spéciales encore plus, qui œuvrent proche de cette zone grise-là. Tu sais, puis de dominer sur les unités spéciales, c'est d'être le plus proche possible, mais de jamais la croiser, de dépasser cette ligne-là. Puis, comme tu dis, tu sais, c'est d'être sûr qu'on est capable de rester du bon bord de cette ligne-là. Fait que d'essayer de voir, c'est quoi qui attire ces punitions-là, c'est quoi qui attire ces flags-là. Mais d'être capable de se regarder dans le miroir et de se dire on l'a échappé celle-là, puis il ne faut pas que ça se reproduise.
Puis est-ce que ça se fait au milieu de la rencontre pendant une pause publicitaire, après un jeu, quelque chose, d'aller voir l'officiel, de dire « Hey, qu'est-ce que tu as vu là-dessus? Pourquoi tu as décidé d'appeler ou plutôt que de ne pas le faire? Où est ta ligne ou ce soir? » ou quelque chose comme ça?
100%. Ça, c'est des conversations qu'il y a eu beaucoup pendant le match. C'était un peu difficile, c'est chaotique pendant le match d'avoir une réponse juste. Comme tu dis, c'est des appels des fois là, après la partie, c'est des participations, soit du head coach du GM, d'appeler puis d'essayer de voir comment on est capable de s'ajuster de manière générale, par rapport à l'uniformisation de ces règles-là puis comment elles sont appelées. Mais moi, ma job, c'est de m'assurer qu'on corrige ça puis que ça n'arrive plus.
The second play of the game, what did you think of it?
Well, after watching the play and with some time to think about it, I think if they're gonna make that call, they just gotta be consistent with it. Like, it's all right if you call that a penalty, but make sure like everybody in the league getting that call. I know like they're human, so they can make mistakes. I think I heard there's probably gonna be a rule change because I'm not sure. I don't want to talk without knowing, but I think you cannot challenge when it's illegal contact. I'm not so sure about it.
I'm not sure. On TV, they said it was a borderline call, and they were surprised that it wasn't challenged, so maybe they got to the line of scrimmage very quickly.
I looked it up. I mean,
You
can challenge.
Yeah, so that's what I think. So we're gonna look. It's for sure. It's you know, it could have changed the game, but
Yes.
Also with some if, like in French on dit avec des si jamais. So with some if, like if
What ifs?
You know, there's a lot of things that could happen, and I hope that you know, things gonna be looked at in the future. Make sure that, you know, I know who the ref made. I know the ref who made the call. I think he knows, you know, probably he wasn't the best, and like us, we're gonna correct and hopefully gonna change.
As players, does that lack of consistency at the officiating level, is that the thing that most infuriates you guys as players? That there just doesn't seem to be any consistency from week to week, depending on the crew?
It could be sometime, but the thing is, like, we also got to be constant with our outrage, because if, let's say, we get a call that, like, you know, for us, right, let's say on offense, defense opponent gets a flag and we switch the situation, we'd be happy for it, you know. So we got to be constant with our outrage. We cannot just be like, since it's on me personally, now I'm pissed at the ref, but if they call a bad play for the other team, I won't say nothing. So in that sense, you know, you cannot be too much focused about the reffing, because it's such a big part of it, and the sad reality, we have no control about it, you know.
Look, I know it's a hypothetical question and we'll never know, but if this guy throws an interception on his second play of the game, I mean, maybe it gets into his head and he starts thinking, I'm due for another 6. I'm going to have another 6. I mean, how do you think the game might have played out?
Probably different, yeah, for sure. Probably would have played different, but at the same time, you know, we as a special team unit didn't also, you know, it wasn't just because of that play. If you look at the play with the penalties and how we some mistake we made that we usually don't make, you know, there's a big hole that doesn't just pinpoint to that play. You know, if it's a tie game, one scoring game, you know, you can come back to this. Yeah. Oh, but you know, you saw the score, you saw what it was. It's just, I think, of course, it would have changed the momentum. Yeah. But that's too much of a big what if, you know, since it's the beginning of the play.
How do you feel the morning after a game when you've been sacked 7 times and hit many more?
The flight didn't help, I'll tell you that much, when you got to fly across the country. But couple things when on a short week where you got a couple things that linger a little bit longer than normally. But I'm walking today and I'm as healthy as I can be, so I'm thankful for that. And the nice thing about a short week is you get an opportunity to kind of right your wrongs that you did the week before. And so I think that opportunity for the guys has got us excited and motivated, and myself included. I felt like I left some plays out there. But yeah, obviously we're not where we need to be, and we've gone against 2 of the best teams in the league, and now one of the third top teams in the league. So it's been quite a gauntlet for us, but as a young team, this is very beneficial for us to have it early on in the year, because we can learn so much from the film, and I think we're learning that as a young team, offensively speaking.
But the sacks are not going down at all. If anything, they're increasing, and you've seen this movie before. You know how it ends.
Yeah, I've lived the movie, and yeah, it's just one of those things. But if you look around the league, sacks are up, I believe, somewhere around 12 or 13%. So it just goes to show how much defenders are getting to the quarterback. Like I said, and I'll say this every week, there's a lot of very talented pass rushers in this league, and so we're just continuing to find ways and build this offense to make sure that we can protect and we can take shots down the field within reason. Obviously, when you're down multiple scores and the defensive line knows you're going to throw it and everybody in the stadium knows you're going to throw it, it makes it very hard on teams. So I think we have to just put ourselves in situations that aren't so telling. Same thing happened in Winnipeg. You know, it's a rain game and we're down multiple scores and we got to just drop back and throw it. So to help ourselves out, to help our offensive line out, is to be in a tighter game, because you saw that in Hamilton when we had the lead. Obviously the sacks were down, and when we had a chance to drive the field and not be so one-dimensional, I feel like this is when our offense is at our best.
You guys, for second week in a row, you only scored one offensive touchdown. But however, you guys have been able to get some big plays, get some big chunk of the field at times. But why is it that we can't see that consistently? And you know, the points are so hard to come by, the touchdowns, I mean, are so hard to come by.
Absolutely. I think that's probably the biggest concern for me, or the place we need to grow the most, is our red zone efficiency. Over the last two games with Winnipeg and BC, we moved the ball great, and like you said, we've had explosions, just finishing with touchdowns and not field goals, and that's the biggest area I think personally that we need to improve if we want to win football games, and that we can help out. If you looked at the red zone efficiency, they were pretty efficient in the red zone and we were not, and usually, like I told you guys earlier in the season, that's what dictates winning and losing in professional football. So we got to find a way to, when we get down there, just to finish, and that's been the focal point throughout the last couple of days, is just understanding that we've done the hard work to get all the way down there, and we got to find a way to lock in and just finish with ourselves in the end zone. So I don't have an answer. If I did, we'd already be doing it, but I think it's one of those things where you just got to work through it, and you just got to continue to stay positive, because there's a lot of positive things that we took away from tape. We had two rookie receivers that were starting in their first CFL game, and we moved the ball versus the best, statistically best defense in the CFL. There was things, like I said, we left on the field, but when you're down to multiple scores, it's tough to be that all-around offense that you want to be. So we got to get Stanback more involved, obviously, and the score will help dictate that. But when we can run the ball with him, it'll help open up some passing lanes. But we have to, like I said, we have to score better in the red zone.
Cody, I think it was during the fourth quarter we saw you hit your throwing hand on a helmet. Did it bother you for the rest of the game?
Just a little bit. One of those things where you kind of just get a little bit of shock, and you move it around and make sure everything's good. In terms of my hand, I didn't feel anything after the game, so I'm all good there. A couple hits on my legs that I've been just kind of monitoring, and on a short week, right, you got to do everything you can to make sure you're healthy enough to go and put your team in the best situation to win. So doing everything I can, and I'll be ready to play. And Coach Maas has done a great job with the schedule of making sure guys get our legs back, and it's been more mental. On a short week against a very tough opponent like Toronto, it's hard to get all of the film study that you want in. There's just not enough hours in the day where you can study the opponent. So a lot of it's going to come back to us, and just getting back to what we know, and being base, and just executing through all of it, and whatever they throw at us, just understand what we have to get done.
The way the Eastern Division is playing right now, the way Toronto is playing, the way with you guys having two losses in a row, I know you want to win every game, but do you feel that this one is already a must-win for you this season?
Anytime you play an Eastern opponent, it's a must-win, and the reason why is it's a 4-point swing as opposed to just a 2-point, right? When you play a Western opponent in the East, or out of conference, I would say, it's only a 2-point win. But when you play your Eastern opponents, it's a 4-point. What I mean by that is they'll never be able to get that game back, right? And so that's why it's important for us to continue to win our East games, and that's what I told the guys. Right now we're a 2-2 football team, but the one thing we did right was both of our games were wins against Eastern opponents, which helps us in the standings and later on. And I've seen this story before, because I've been in this league for a handful of years, is you win your Eastern divisional games, or your Western divisional, whatever conference you're in, you give yourself a chance to be the driver in going into the playoffs with a home playoff day or even a bye. So that's our plan, that's our goal, is to get that first round bye. And so it's going to go through Toronto, who's the Grey Cup defending Grey Cup champs, and we understand that. We understand what we're up against, so we have to play a clean clean football game against a very talented team.
We were talking about the personnel last week. You said you had the right guys in the right place, but yet more sacks again.
Yeah,
so.
but again, like I said last week, you know, when you look at the number of sacks, I get it. That's what everyone's focused on right now. You know, 4 of those sacks, one's on a screen, one's on a movement, one's on this and that. The end of the day, like the whole focus is on that. So human nature is just to get so tight back there, and that's all you're thinking about, rather than thinking about the other plays and all the other stuff. So, and that kind of goes into the coaches' minds, players' minds, everything. We just got to let it go. I mean, at the end of the day, we're playing against great defenses. You're playing against great personnel in this league. They're going to make some plays. We can only control what we can control. I still am very, you know, with the personnel we have, I really believe we're going to be able to get the job done every week, every play. And I said it last week, one hit on your quarterback's not good.
Yeah.
You know, the number of them is absolutely not good enough. But at the end of the day, when you look at the totality of it and you break it down, you watch it, they're going to make some plays. The other ones that we can control, we need to control better. And you know, that's been again a short focus, because we haven't had a whole lot of time this week to, you know, make corrections and then kind of move on. But again, going forward, feel very confident in the guys we have. The schemes are just going to, you know, be the schemes, and we're going to keep working with the guys. And at the end of the day, you know, you expect the results, but ultimately what I don't want is everyone to be pressing, and that's what their biggest concern is. I mean, I want them just to do their jobs, and coaches included, and then, you know, focus on more of the positive, and then the negative will take care of itself, in my opinion.
But apart from the numbers of sacks, do you see improvements on the things that we've been talking about since day one, on the communications, the cohesion? And
I do see I do see that improvement, but it's hard for me to tell you there's
No,
improvement when the numbers are still, you know, what they were. And that's why, you know, I go back and I look at all the sack totals, and I see 21, and I go back today and look at all of them and think about all of them and watch them and dissect them, and man, it's like, okay, if 6 of those didn't happen, we're only at 15. Is that big a deal to everybody? But it, you know, it would still be not very good, you know. And we just, again, I do see the improvement. I do see the communication got better this week, and the way we operated this week got better. The results not what we wanted, but again, it's a work in progress right now, and you know, the focus is still on getting better and on us. And you know, I'll give always credit to the defenses we play, because we play some damn good ones, particularly the fronts that we're playing. But at the end of the day, there's some things we can do better, and that's what we'll focus on.
I think the league has you at 22, but I digress. The Dequoy penalty, what are your thoughts now on that?
I mean, after looking at it, I you know, the one thing I will say is the referee made his call, and he made it quickly. I mean, there was no hesitation in his mind what he saw, and you know, I think sometimes, you know, when a referee does that, he has conviction of what he saw, and it's part of that we've got to deal with it. You know, I know I've talked with the league, and you know, that's not a challengeable offense for us with illegal contact, but when the ball is actually thrown there, does it get upgraded potentially to DPI that we can challenge? You know, maybe that's something where the rule maybe gets changed going forward because of that fact. But at the end of the day, the referee made a call that he's going to live with, and we're going to live with it as well, but at least it was with conviction. He saw what he saw, and whether we all agree that maybe it wasn't the greatest call or not, it's something we all can learn from. And you know, I don't know what else Dequoy can do in that position. I mean, the receiver kind of runs into him, runs back out, didn't lose any speed or momentum, but was there contact made at 11 yards? Yes. I mean, but who made it and all that, you can argue that. But at the end of the day, that was the second play of the football game, and you know, you like to think that we can overcome a call regardless of how it went the rest of the game.
You had 2 receivers playing their first CFL game. In that game, did you like the sparkle they could bring to the group?
Yeah, they both did things that we both have seen them do in training camp for us. You know, obviously Q coming down with a big catch on the sidelines, that's something we've seen him do in the preseason games, something we've seen him do in camp. Are there things that we can all improve on? He can improve on, sure, but playing your first game and making a catch like that and a couple others was great. You know, and Sneed, you know, Sneed's been very solid throughout camp, and for his first opportunity, again, same thing, in the right place, right time, made catches, blocked well, you know, did a lot of really good things. So very pleased with both of them, and I think they're only going to get better.